Okay, so we have someone here going by the name of John. He works in computer science and he's been crunching some data in relation to missing children. So I'm just going to hand everything over to him and he's going to explain what he's found here.
Okay, so as I got into the data, this is all the missing cases, 388, right? If I go back and, narrow that down to, say, 2016, and what's today, the 20th?
Yeah.
You see, it only drops off about 100. Okay, so there's according to this site, there's 287 cases. This is in Virginia, a state of 8.3 million, right?
Okay.
If I go to, say, New York, let's see, we'll do that real quick, and search for the same range, 65 cases. So if you look at New York, it's a state of, gosh, it's so far down the list, I can't even find it here. Where is it?
I think it's number 20 down there, isn't it?
Yes. So it's a state of approximately 20 million.
Okay.
And so what I did was I adjusted by population and given a density and coming up with a rate of missing children per 100,000 of the population. And then what that produced is Virginia is showing up 3 times the next closest state, which is Oklahoma.
Right. So there's something very strange happening in Virginia.
Very strange. And it's representing almost 20% of all the missing children, all the 4,000 missing children being reported.
Right. So out of all the children in this time period that are missing in the United States of America, 18.9% of them went missing in Virginia.
Right. These are the 2016 figures. I think I ran these back on the 9th, so they may be about a week old. These are just missing since January 1st, 2016. So there has been something extraordinary about 2016 and Virginia. I'm trying to dig into the data further to see it. Things looked different prior to 2016. It looked more homogeneous, not quite as an issue in Virginia specifically. And by the way, this data, it's taken me about 3 weeks to figure out how to get this data into an extensible format where I can look at it. The NCMEC does not make this data publicly available in an easy-to-use format. I figured out through doing some manipulations through the web how to do this and how to export it into Excel. What I'm going to show you here is, you're going to see LA, of course, has got 54 active cases for 2016. I mean, that's to be expected. It's a city of, how many million? It's gargantuan. The state is close to 40 million. But when you come over here, and you'll see also, like Houston, but these are all very large cities. You come over here into Virginia, and you just see, Richmond has almost as many as LA, 44, and they're piled on top of each other.
Okay, so just for people who perhaps you're not located in the US, perhaps you're not completely familiar with US geography, this is like a cluster of missing children surrounding Washington, D.C.
Exactly.
Which is where Comet Ping Pong is located.
Right, which is right, this is Washington, D.C. You can actually see District of Columbia. And, interestingly, you notice very few cases right in D.C.
Okay.
But you get outside D.C. into Virginia, this is actually where the NCMEC, the originator of this data, is located in Alexandria. So 13 there, 27 there, 20 there, but they add up. And what's interesting in Virginia is we've got so many down here in the Hampton
hubs of missing children. Can you think of any reason why children would go missing in those particular locations?
That's where I'm scratching my head. I actually called the liaison for the Virginia State Police over the weekend, and I believe they tried to get back in touch with me yesterday. I need to follow up with them because I'd like to talk about that. The data is leading me to conclusions that I can't explain with one or two standard deviations of difference. I just, can't explain them. I'm trying to think in terms of, this is just open source intelligence, right? This is what's publicly available. That's getting into what you call human intelligence. Here's the New York area, okay? I mean, New York City.
Yeah.
How large is New York City? Gargantuan.
Massive, yeah.
10 million people? I'm not sure. Brooklyn, 8. Bronx, 4. I mean,
it doesn't make sense at all.
It doesn't. I was going to try to show you another. Yeah, and here's Philadelphia.
Right.
8.
Yeah. So these are, bigger, if not comparable cities, and they don't have anywhere near the numbers of missing children as those cities in Virginia.
The shocker really is the Norfolk area.
Right.
I've got another graph. Let me see. I can pull it up quickly here. When I turned these into metropolitan areas, basically taking all of those many columns you saw in the Norfolk area, such as Newport News, Hampton, Virginia Beach, and just put them in Norfolk, which is kind of the geographic center of this area. That's what happened.
Wow.
So there are currently 103 missing children coming out of the Norfolk area since January 1st, 2016, and through today. So we're just about to.
Right. So what are what are these 3 columns? So we've got Norfolk there. We've got, okay. And the next one is, what's
this?
That?
Would be Central Virginia, Richmond.
Okay, so we've got Richmond, Virginia, and the other one?
DC.
DC, right there. Okay, wow. And then compare that to like New York, which is much larger population, and it's just basically nothing compared to it, is it? Right, so that's the whole of New York. That's
everything in the New York metropolis.
Right.
Includes all of Long Island, most of upper New Jersey.
Yeah. Like, this is completely unexplainable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, have you tried just even doing any research into, like, are there well-known child trafficking rings in Virginia? Because what is going on with all these missing children in Virginia?
Well, I've given some couple of thoughts. One is potentially, this would be very good, is because the NCMEC is based in Alexandria, Virginia, and maybe we have better reporting.
Right. That would be a good explanation. Yep.
But if you look at this, it just suggests that only Virginia reports well.
Yeah, it would suggest that the other ones are like only reporting about 1/8 of the missing children.
Right.
Which would be quite concerning.
And you could suggest that Wyoming and Vermont and Rhode Island, they don't report anything. But that's not the case. So I am looking forward to speaking with the Virginia State Police to see what their take on it is.
Okay.
But let's go back to that. So, the other explanation, or another explanation, would be that we have very poor policing. Now, I have many friends in the Virginia State Police, and I can say that they're very professional, and I can't imagine that there's something going on right underneath our eyes. But how do you explain this?
Yeah.
I mean,
wow, it's just an unexplainable thing going on here. So, because I've looked at population maps in the US, and the whole of the east side of the US is fairly heavily populated, but we're not even seeing any real spikes in missing children down here. What is this, like North Carolina or something?
Right.
Like, we're not even seeing anything down here. So how do you explain this one as well? I mean, you'd think that they'd have comparable numbers of missing children to somewhere like Virginia, wouldn't you? You
would. They actually have more population. I think it's about 10 million in North Carolina.
Wow. Okay, so they we have more population and like virtually no children reported missing.
24 for the whole state.
Oh dear. Okay. 24 children in the whole of North Carolina, which has a larger population than Virginia. And yet we've got 315 children missing in Virginia. So that is absolutely unexplainable.
And that's something that's interesting to note, is a lot of the children are not coming from Maryland. In terms of the reporting, it's Virginia, the Virginia side.
Yeah.
So
it's almost as though, for some reason, it's just this state. Like, it's not even the bordering states. It's just this state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just these tiny little hubs here. So that's all very concerning, and I'm going to put this out for everyone to watch, and I hope that everyone is going to rack their brains and help us come up with an explanation for why there are so many missing children around Washington, D.C. and in Virginia compared to all the other states in America.